Yo, yo, yo. It's not the best way to start. I never plan these things, so it's just what happens, and sometimes you get yo, 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 like that. So that's where we're at right now. NBA Media Day. Now I'm gonna try and make a segue. It's just we're just gonna do it. Here's the thing. I don't want to talk like vaccines, anti-vax, vax, pro-vax, lax, whatever, relax, pro-lax, anti-vax. But I do want to talk about the predicament the NBA has now, regardless of what your stance is on it, as like a personnel thing, as a social thing, as just like a team thing. We have 10% of players are unvaccinated. Some seem, at least the ones that have been outspoken about it, seem pretty committed to their stance, as many people are that are not willing to get the vaccine. And so now it puts people in an awkward position for those that believe, that the vaccine is mandatory, or should be mandatory. It's like, well, especially, Kyrie, Beal, Michael Porter Jr. I mean, these are integral parts of, Kyrie and Michael Porter in terms of are integral parts of playoff teams. Bradley Beal is a star player on a fringe team, but obviously the most important player on the team for them. So we're looking at serious consequences depending on how this all shakes out, and we're only a couple weeks out from opening tip-off, and so this is something that I could see going a couple ways. One is like it doesn't get resolved. These guys hold out. They say, fine, I won't play home games. I think we can all agree probably Kyrie is the one that's most willing to like actually turn words into actions, for better or worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if Kyrie doesn't play home games, maybe not at all. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Nets are totally fine without him. Not even as like a disrespect to him, but they're just too talented to not still win without him, even though he's a very good player. Wizards, hard to say. Without Beal for half the season, that's going to be a tough one. And of course, there's a whole thing of like, if the Wizards play Brooklyn, can Beal play as a visiting player? Obviously not someone who works in the state of New York or in New York City or whatever. That's something that's going to be weird. And it's kind of like the NBA has to pick a stance, because if you do believe that the vaccine or the unvaccinated players are dangerous and spreading a killer virus, or at least a dangerous virus, then why expose them to anyone? And I understand, if you're vaccinated, then what are you worried about, kind of thing. But obviously that means you can spread it to, more harm people that, are in poor health or elderly and whatnot. So you have this whole rabbit hole now of like, well, if you're exposing some people, like Bradley Beal's teammates and their families could still be potentially affected. So why would it be like, we'll protect home games, but on the road, I guess it's just like whatever. It just goes to like local policy. It's a little strange. It's kind of like the NBA has to decide whether this 10%, they're really going to crack down on them and be like, no, like it's, the whole like, you're not going to get paid. So we're talking in terms of Wiggins and Kyrie, like $15 to $17 million right there. I mean, that's one way that's really going to test how committed they are to this, to their beliefs, and whether you think that's right or wrong, or it's a right to privacy thing, or whatever. Whatever you think, that's a pretty good test of how committed they are to this. And so there hasn't been any, I don't think anyone's caved per se at this point, and it's tough. I mean, if I'm a player that, you know, is hesitant to get vaccinated, there's a lot to think about. There's obviously, you know, if you're someone who believes there's like harmful long-term effects, if you're someone that believes you'll have an adverse reaction to the vaccine, there's that point, there's that part of it. There's also, you know, whether you actually want to play with your team or not, you have to consider, you know, actually, to give up half a season and just watch your teammates play, I would think would be pretty difficult for anyone. And if it's not difficult, then you should probably reconsider if you even care about basketball at all, and if it's that important to you. And that's the tough thing, is this is putting, you know, players, you have to decide, you know, between a vaccine and your career and the sport you've loved your entire life. And some people that doesn't seem to be a hard decision. And some people it is, and fair enough. You know, that's like, at this point, like, if you've gone to this point and you know you still have concerns about the vaccine, like, there's nothing I don't think anyone's going to be able to say to convince you. There's obviously, you know, the mandates and things like that to kind of take the choice out of your hands, obviously, which is the whole debate. But yeah, I mean, I do feel a certain sympathy for these guys, because obviously they feel this way, like, naturally, and I obviously had hesitations about the vaccine. I mean, obviously I still decided to get it. I think, you know, I already made a video about it. You can check that out if you want to know my stance. But yeah, I was scared, and I did. I mean, I think everyone to some degree had like an adverse reaction. I mean, I don't know if anyone's like died from the vaccine, but obviously, you know, you feel pretty shitty for like a day and a half or a day, and you know, it varies from person to person and different conditions, health-wise, how good your immune system is, things like that. But yeah, I said I got like my fucking like armpits like got swollen, and it's like a lymph node thing or something. And you know, that's tough. That was not in the cards. I did not know that was a possibility that could happen. I knew I would feel awful, so you know, I took off work and kind of scheduled around it. But yeah, did not account for the old armpit welt thing. And yeah, it was scary. You know, it's not fun to get shot, get shot, but specifically get, you know, give vaccine at the day of. You know, my arm hurt like a motherfucker the first time, and second time my fucking armpit went from concave to convex. So yeah, but then it went away, you know, and my head hasn't exploded. I'm doing well for myself as far as I can tell, physically, and so that is, you know, it's risk reward. If people feel like, you know, they're really gonna react to it and they're scared to be, it is tough, because you really have to be like, listen, I'm gonna feel like shit for like a day and a half, and I just have to accept that. But hopefully, you know, I think a lot of people have had this conversation with others, and in their mind that's like, well, it's a peace of mind thing of like, well, now I know, you know, even if I do get it, it'll be less severe, and the likelihood of spreading it to others is, you know, less. But others, you know, that's a thing, and some of these players have had COVID, so they feel like, I guess, they're on the other side of it. So yeah, but you know, if you go on a night out on the town drinking and you get fucked up, like, that's, yeah, you're gonna feel like shit in the morning. It's kind of the same thing. You're not gonna feel as good with the vaccine. it's not gonna make you feel tipsy. It's gonna you're just going into it knowing you're not gonna feel good in the morning, and that's part of it. So, everyone has to make this choice, and the NBA is kind of, I think, reflective of America. Like, it's these players are come from towns across the country and different viewpoints, different belief systems, and they have a platform, so we get to hear what they think about certain things, and obviously that will be across the board, and you're going to hear different views, different opinions from these guys, and disagree, agree with it. It's their right to say what they think, and it's the media's right to ask them questions about it. Not to get into like a medical privacy thing, because it's a whole nother can of worms, and I'm not really trying to get into like political debates or whatever. I'm just saying from a business standpoint, from just an NBA standpoint, a locker room standpoint, this is kind of an interesting experiment. It's kind of a rare thing, when the fucking Spanish flu came in 1919, it was, and like, I don't know if Babe Ruth had the same problem, the fucking shoeless Joe Jackson was anti-vax or whatever. Seems at that point it wasn't a problem as much, so, but, that aside, this is unprecedented times for everyone, and of course in sports, like everyone else has had to deal with COVID, and, I don't think if there's a resolution, I don't know if it's gonna be pretty, to be honest with you. I think, people are gonna get riled up either way. And I think, I was gonna say, I don't know what you do. I'm obviously, we won't get into that. That's that. It's an interesting time. I'm not gonna, we're gonna just toe the line and stay out of all the other stuff. So that's that. NBA, figure it out. Good luck with that. I do not envy Adam Silver at the moment. That tall, skinny alien man has a lot on his shoulders at the moment. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with this. I hope it doesn't get ugly. I hope they find some solution that makes sense for all parties. Because I just want to get an NBA basketball up, a normal season. I think everyone wants that to some degree. So let's hope for that. Other than that, take care of yourselves. Take it easy. And I'll see you next time.